What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another update here in the Sergeant Tank Fish Room. My name is Jeremy. Thanks so much for stopping by. Of course, this channel is all geared around fish keeping, how-tos, specifically when it comes to breeding and many different aspects of this hobby. Here's our logo here. You can check any information down in the links if you would like to know a little bit more about us. What we're going to be taking a look at here today is some spawning mops. Seems like something you guys were interested that I did like a week and a half ago. It was on a Sunday, so you guys can definitely check it out. If you're watching this in the replay, I'll go ahead and add a link for you guys right at the top. So the first thing that we're looking at here is some Aphysemia Australe, or Australe. If we can get the camera focused in on here, show you guys, there is a couple of eggs in this spawning mop. So if that will show. And again, I do have, I have several thousand video views with regard to many different aspects and many different specimens of fish with regard to breeding. So I've bred anywhere from characins, cyprinids, rainbow fish, killifish, catfish, gobies, cichlids, livebearers, and the list goes on. So if you guys ever have any questions for me, of course, I do enjoy carrying on the conversation with you guys right down in the comments of each one of the videos if you have any specific questions there for me, or if you may be of interest in a specific video. We probably have over 250, 260 videos currently here on the platform, so you guys can always check that out. We have many different playlists also available for you guys. We currently run over 110 active systems, anywhere from basically 2.5 gallons all the way up to 300-gallon systems. So majority of which we do, of course, there's a lot of different basis behind implementation of redundancy. So just because we have 110 systems, that doesn't mean I'm bringing 110 different species. We do resets about every year and a half to 2 years. So what that means is I'll go through, oftentimes I'll keep some of the things that are more popular, specifically in the demographic and whatever locality that may be. Of course, we do have a website, sergeanttank.com. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be showing you guys here in the next few minutes, unfortunately, it's going to be fortunate for those here in the local market. You can go ahead and check that out as well in the description for you guys. I just did a video yesterday with regard to the upcoming auction that I've been talking about here in our local market, which is the Grand Rapids, Michigan market, and that is the Grand Valley Aquarium Club. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, fish-related aquarium club auctions in the state of Michigan. And we would anticipate anywhere between 900 and 1,000 plus bags, anywhere between different specimens of fish, as well as dry goods and plants. So now, people always ask me, what's going to come in? It's not even practical. You know, like a rare fish night, which we'll be having, I'm not going to go into that here. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in a different live stream update for you guys. We do have a rare fish night, which is an auction that we hold usually in November of each year. And like I said, I'm not going to touch bases on that. Typically, we have a better idea of what specimens of livestock are actually going to be available. People always ask when it comes to auctions, Jeremy, what are you going to have? You know, and to know what people are going to bring, it's just not even practical. It's not even feasible. We don't know a lot of times what's going to be coming in. What I can tell you is if you are in or around this region, anywhere around the Michigan market, we have people that travel all the way out from California. We have people that travel from the east side of the country and even down south to come and see exactly what's available. It's just a great opportunity in order for you guys to get involved, to see what is available. A lot of times these are things that you just can't go online and find. You can't go to your local fish store and find. A lot of the stuff that I even breed here, I don't show necessarily through YouTube or other social media, because I don't want people hounding me at the end of the day of wanting this and wanting that. This is something that I enjoy to do as well, even though from a hobbyist standpoint, that's always first and foremost, but even from a business standpoint, there's a lot of things that we do offer at sergeanttank.com with that regard. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of walking around here. We'll pull a few spawning mops. If there's anything that pops out, you guys can let me know, and I'll try to address it. Like I said, if it's anything specific when it comes to breeding, quarantine procedures, when it comes to medications, acclimatization, anything like that, I will point you back to a playlist or back to one of my videos, because I don't want to spend a lot of time here today. Focus on something I've already covered in great detail before. Why don't we head over here and we'll take a look At this 20 long, this is containing various albino longfin variety and sister's bushy-nosed placas. This also has a variety of fancy guppies in here, and then I do have a group of Australian rainbow fish in there as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull them off and see if there's any type of activity here within this spawning mop. So what's nice about most of these rainbow fish is the adhesive bonding that I've talked about on many different occasions with regard to utilization and implementation of spawning mops. I am trying to get my bearings together here because I don't want to get these mixed up. So I just pulled these mops yesterday and already pulled some of the eggs. So there may not even be anything in this today. Let's see. A lot of times they do enjoy, especially with some of the killies, specifically more of your non-annuals that utilize these mops because of the adhesive bonding that comes into play when you're talking about the embryo or the eggs, that they will bond to these acrylic spawning mops, especially over time as these fibers break down. They actually will start to bond a little bit better over time. So keep that in mind if you get and implement a brand new spawning mop. We do carry these, we custom make these, so you guys can definitely check it out. So yeah, nothing in here. The next one that we're going to pull here in just a moment will be the Aresius wahray, which is your Daisy's blue rice fish. I'm probably one of few in the country that breed. Look at me, Joe. That breed these specific. I'll show you guys just in a second just some of the offspring with that regard. I can breed these guys in the hundreds. I do plan on writing an article specifically with the Aresius wahray at some point in the future, but let's see. Again, they do tend to go up more towards the top, and they're also opportunistic, so pretty much any place that they can find an opportunity to deposit, they will do. And like I said, I've already gone through the last 2 days and pulled just about every one of these. Didn't get an opportunity this past Sunday to do a walkthrough with you guys. I'm just going through these real quick, and I'm confident to say that there's nothing in there. Now, the other question is, people always ask, Jeremy, do you have to have a do you have to utilize a spawning mop or that type of method when it comes to breeding? And the simple answer to that is no. I will show you guys here the Galaxy Rasbora, commonly known as, or your Celestial Pearl Danio. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. I breed those guys in a 10-gallon system, and I overpopulate it with a bunch of Nias grass, and I also have a spawning mop in there as well. And I can get a decent amount of fry production by allowing them to colony raise and colony breed that way. Over time, as fish become used to certain parental roles, specifically like with some of your pelvichromis that I've talked about before, and even with live-bearing species. So whether if that is more of a substrate spawner or a live-bearing type of fish or a specimen, whatever the case might be, what I have found in my own personal experience is with that regard, over time, if you allow them to colony raise, and yes, you will have some depletion, of course, of the offspring due to the simple fact that there will be some cannibalism there, depending on what it is that you're breeding, even with most live bears, even with some of the most low-key type of fish that you can think of, there's ultimately going to be an opportunity there for certain types of cannibalistic behavior. And that doesn't even mean it's an intentional directive towards wanting to eat the offspring. A lot of times, if they're used to food being deposited a certain way in that ecosystem, they may think it's just another piece of food, not realizing it's actually their own offspring. But what I can tell you is over time, if you allow generations to raise up within one confined system, you can have a better opportunity in the long term if that is your goal, without pulling and artificially raising from that point of view. If we take a look down here at this 5.5 gallon, these are unlighted systems. I probably have at least 80 to 100 of the Arrhesius water. And these guys, this specific batch is from September the 11th. All right. Let's see. Like I said, you guys, we'll take a look here real quick at some of the species that will be going into the big auction here. This is a male Balanosox. This is a live-bearing fish, very, very cannibalistic. I would be willing to put money on it. These are going to be the most difficult live-bearing fish that you could ever imagine when it comes to breeding. Due to the very cannibalistic behaviors that go into play, as the parents and the parental roles, they will predate immediately, right away, instantly, as soon as the live spring are dispersed. So I have bred a few of those. However, I am moving away from doing it. It takes up a lot of real estate and a lot of time. Majority of my own educational experience and my own educational perspective on this from dealing with them firsthand is that they are very, very challenging, not in order to entice them to get the spawn. It's really the rearing and the raising aspect of it, because not only feeding live foods for the parents themselves, but even more so for the offspring. I literally have tried every single form of live food, not only from a culturing point of view, but even from guppies, endlers, and that type of stuff. If that isn't something that you guys are really into when it comes to that, that is just in their natural instinct and behavior. There really is no ways around it. They will not take any type of pelleted food. They're not going to take a flake food. It's just going to ultimately end up contaminating the tank. So we'll take a look here at a couple of examples. These guys are about 3 weeks old. And this is a Balanosox here. This is a pike top minnow, commonly known as, and they're about a little bit smaller than that, maybe not quite, probably about 3/4 the size that you see here. And this guy's a good solid inch. And you have to keep them separate. I'll say will predate upon one another. The one thing that I can say is right off the get-go, if you want to focus on me a second, one thing that I can say right off the get-go is with regard to those guys, the last batch of offspring that we just took a look at here, I was able immediately to start conditioning them over to accepting live Daphnia. And the first batch, I waited a little bit longer before I started introducing foods. But what I can say from experience now, and just kind of studying their overall behaviors, is if this is a fish that you want to get into and you want to breed, I'm not going to go into the details of how to breed. I can try to do a video for you guys at some point in the future, but again, it's going to be basically going off from the information that I have at hand rather than showing you guys a visual. I ended up losing my female, and that was due to a fact that she ended up getting trapped in it was a DIY type of breeder box that I incorporated in order to obtain the offspring. So basically it's a reverse way. If you want to show them this 2.5 gallon here, this got some emperor tetras in it. The eggs will fall down with certain tetras and barbs and other specimens like that, where they're not going to adhere to like a spawning mop. And you could also utilize marbles at the bottom. But with this regard, so basically I implemented that concept by having that reverse and up towards the top, because the offspring of those will go directly towards the top, and you don't want to make it too densely planted or have too much barrier there, because they will get trapped. And like I said, as soon as they're released, I was catching them right in the act. As soon as they were released, if they didn't get up there fast enough, the female would nab them instantly. Very, very quick. So let's see here. If you want to head back that way. All right, so in here we just have some Limia vitata. I do have a bunch of offspring that will be going into auction. Those guys, a lot of this stuff is going to be listed still currently on the website. So I'm just telling you right now, I will be pulling anything off from website by most likely tomorrow evening, if not by early part of Friday, this coming Friday, which is October 26th of 2018. In here we got some lime green endlers. I got some black bar variety endlers. This is a group more of lime green endlers over here. Here we have some fantasy blues, shrimp. We got some black Coriodoras. This is a pair of Pelvichromis Polker. A very reputable pair when it comes to breeding. And then this is a few of the Synodontis lucipennis. There's a couple lingering shrimp in there as well. That's only a fraction of what I'm bringing. And then a bunch of various ancistrus plecos. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, let's take a look here before we head to the other fish room. So if we don't disrupt the surface, and it's probably not going to show up, these are the Galaxy Rasbora, the Celestial Pearl Danios. He's trying to focus, but he's looking there at the wrong side. So if you look right down to your right, you may see some little specks that are kind of swimming around right at the top surface. So this is a colony breeding system. So what I mean by that colony breeding is I do not pull. I don't have a dish set up with marbles in it where I'm pulling similar to information that I presented here through an update on YouTube with regard to the Synodontis lucipennis. So very similar concept there with regard to that from that standpoint. So let's head over to the other fish room and see what we got going on over there. All right, so the majority of these systems now, I will also be bringing a pair of diamond tetras to the auction. This is my pair here that I'll be keeping. Anything that you see with a circle and a cross through it, or just a dash through it, that just means it's an open system. Because I have so many systems, so I know right away. We got some juvenile Melitania picta. We got a pair up here of Melitania picta. These are rainbow fish. We have some more fantasy blue shrimp down there. Down at the very bottom, we have some Pelvichromis taeniatus. So the middle tank down there at the very bottom, that is a pair of Pelvichromis. They're not quite mature yet to start spawning. There's a female right to the right of that system of that same species. Up here we have a couple of male. These are your Synogonus polypterus or Senegal Bashir. So that is the appropriate pronunciation. It's not biker, it's not Bishir, it's Bashir. So if you guys were ever wondering specific over here, this system, again, we pulled a lot of this off here today. Only have a group of from Rob McClure, which is a group of Aspidoras that are in there. I may end up auctioning those guys off. I'm not quite sure yet. The tank right to the left of that, we have some more fantasy blue variety of your shrimp. It looks like there's one lingering Limia vitata over here in this third system on this rack. With one ancistrus bushy-nosed pleco. That guy is sexable at this point. That's a female. That's how easy it is for me. I can start sexing them out about half that size. Up here is some Poecilia wingi. These are a black bar variety. This group I'm going to hold on to. It's one of my favorite systems here in the fish rooms. They're an absolute beautiful specimen. I also have a group of longfin bushy-nosed placas in there as well, your brown or chocolate variety. Right next to it there, as I've shown you guys in other videos, these are your Xenotopa duadroi. This is from San Marcos, so collection point. Sometimes referred to as a red-tailed splitfin. So another live-bearing species. I got a whole playlist on that. Down here, the last system here on this rack, we have some Neophiridinia heteropoda, which is your carbon rilly strain of your dwarf shrimp. And pretty much just redundant at this point, you guys. Let's head on over. We'll kind of just wrap things up over here in the big fish room. And so I'm doing a lot of videos and updates for you guys with that regard, just because of the standpoint it's just redundant at this point. Like I said, I go through and do major resets about every 1.5 to 2 years, because I ultimately breed anywhere between 40 and 50 different species each year. For 2019, I plan on breeding about 50 different species. So that is different species, even if it's of this, similar genus or something like that. It's still a different type of species. Yeah, so why don't we take a look here real quick at chat. I'm going to kind of take things over here a second, flip the camera around. And let's see. All right, you guys, give me a real quick 1 second here. I'm just kind of scrolling back up through chat. And I appreciate all you guys hopping in here on another impromptu live stream. So I'm not going to be able to get through all the questions, you guys. Like I said, you can always let me know right down in the comment section once we conclude this live stream, because I definitely enjoy interacting with you guys there. So we definitely don't have to end this conversation here during the live stream. I enjoy carrying those conversations on with you guys. So I'm just seeing if anything stands out with regard to Rob 93 Aquatics. Let's see what's going on, buddy. We got River Life. We got KG Cichlids. Let's see here. Reels Tanks, 54 Punchy, Angelo, Charlie, Beastag, HC Aqua, Otter Creek Aquatics, Susan, hello, hello. We got Dwayne in the house. All right, so it doesn't look like any questions popped out. I'm sure I did end up missing something. Hopefully you guys can take something away with this. I don't mind bringing you guys these updates. It doesn't take me too long to do it. Like I said, this is always the busy time of the year, just because of my involvement through local clubs and that type of stuff. And you guys know how it is, especially with fish keeping. Fall leading into winter and in the spring is always a busy time. So, but I thank you guys very much for hanging in there with me. If you guys enjoyed this content, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure that you guys hit that little subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Not that it really necessarily matters, but with that being said, you guys, as always, stay encouraged, keep on keeping on, happy fishing, and we'll talk to you guys right back here on the next one.